Ever since I can remember, I've loved fashion. My mother was a dressmaker, so I was surrounded, with fabric and with women all the time coming in and out of the house.
Antonio Lopez's innate attraction to fashion led the Puerto Rican-born, Harlem-raised artist to pursue what would become a legendary career as a fashion illustrator. A luminary in the 1970s and 80s, Lopez and his entourage of industry glitterati made an indelible mark on culture. From the streets of Paris to the underbelly of New York nightlife, Lopez's hyper-real depictions of climactic glamour would sensationalize him in life and memorialize him in death. 25 years after his tragic passing, Lopez was once again the talk of New York Fashion Week as authors Mauricio and Roger Padilha launched their latest tome, Antonio Lopez, Fashion, Art, Sex, and Disco. 300 pages of the late illustrator's captivating work.
Fashion, art, sex, and disco. That was Antonio.
He was a zeitgeist in the fashion industry. He photographed, he discovered models, he illustrated, he styled with fashion designers. He really was a driving force behind the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
My last spring collection was inspired by Antonio, and I heard that Mauricio and Roger were doing the book, and I was so excited because this is the story that everybody needed to see, and it was just so beautifully presented.
I have the pleasure of knowing Antonio from FIT. We went to FIT at the same time, and we remained friends, and I have wonderful drawings by Antonio.
Not only was he an incredible illustrator and photographer, but he also discovered so many of the iconic models of that period and really kind of changed French fashion and changed American fashion.
He moved his charcoals across the papers, inspired a world of designers. And to be with him was really a party. And so now we're all celebrating him and being happy to be together in his honor.
I met Antonio in the early 80s through Pat Cleveland, and well, it was a remarkable experience working with Antonio. He had these very stylized, beautiful images, but he actually brought out the most, I would say, kind of truthful and best qualities in a person.
He loved women, he loved bodies, he loved expression. He was a master. I mean, he was a super master.
In the 80s, Antonio was the most famous person in the fashion industry. And as we grew up, we kind of realized that he had been forgotten, and a lot of people that were in their 20s didn't know who he was. So this book really is to educate people.
The following evening, the celebration continued downtown as the Suzanne Geiss Company opened Antonio's World, a comprehensive exhibition of Lopez's creative gifts.
Here you will see over 120 works of Antonio Lopez, from his drawings to photographs to other ephemera, and it really is showing the diverse range of his style and the body of work that he forged through contemporary culture. In the side gallery, we have the iconic Instamatic grids, which were most famously featured in Andy Warhol's Interview in 1970s. So they were usually done in groupings of 6 or 9, and they're thematic. There's the Blue Water series, the Candy Wrapper series, the S&M series, and they feature, Antonio's girls, Jerry Hall, Pat Cleveland, Diane von Furstenberg. They were all friends, and he cultivated this nightlife coterie that followed him around. And we actually decided to display them against wallpaper. And the wallpaper was based on a drawing that was done for Interview in 1975 for an issue based on Paris. The legacy that Antonio will leave behind is his ability to convey the human form with such mastery and flourish, and glamour, of course, and it just remains such a powerful cultural record of that decade. I hope they leave behind seeing the superior quality of his drawings and just the influence of art history and how freely he took from art history, whether it's from surrealism to impressionism. You can see how engaged Antonio was with what was happening in art.
I think fashion is art. I like to think of it like an art. And I think that's what saves me and makes me different perhaps than the others, is that I really, really insist on quality.